What's up guys, my name is Natalie and welcome to my Nook of Novels. Today I'm going to be doing my May wrap up, so I'm just going to tell you guys about all of the books that I read in May. So the first thing that I read was The Things They Carried by Tim O'Brien, and I gave this one 3.75 stars, and I actually read it because my friend recommended it to me. I definitely found it very interesting. It follows these different people during the Vietnam War who have been drafted into it, and just their different stories and the things that they experienced during that. And it was definitely quite fascinating to see the way that different people reacted to the same situation. It was almost like reading a short story collection because it kind of jumped around between the characters. It was just different kind of stories from the same group of people during that war. The two parts that stick out to me the most is this one kind of ghost story-esque part, which I found very interesting. And there was another part where it followed the author, but it was very confusing if it was a true story or not, because kind of one of the main things that it talked about was that you can't tell the true stories apart from the fake ones, because usually the true stories are ones that you wouldn't think are true or something like that. And the writing style was really pretty, so I definitely really loved that about it. I definitely liked that one more than I expected to, and I am glad that I read it. Next up is Othello by William Shakespeare, and I read this for school, and I don't even know how I feel about it. Honestly, it was just getting to the point in the school year where I was tired of reading these school things, and I was like, I don't really care that much. I honestly barely even knew what was happening, but it was enjoyable enough. I gave it 3 stars. I do enjoy reading Shakespeare. I was just kind of tired of it at that point. Don't have a lot to say about that one. Next up is all 4 volumes of Heartstopper by Alice Oseman. I would talk about these individually, but I honestly am not even sure where one ended and the next one began, because I intended on saving these for Everthon because Heartstopper is one of the host favorites. But I was hanging out with my besties and we were talking about Heartstopper, and I was like, I really want to read all of those and watch the TV show. And so we literally all sat together and read through the entirety of Heartstopper and watched the entire TV series in less than 24 hours. It was very enjoyable. I definitely have no regrets. It was so good. The whole thing is so cute. We were all sitting there reading it and we would audibly squeal at certain parts because it was so cute. It was such a fun time. The characters are just so adorable and lovable. The whole thing is just the cutest thing I've ever read. And so obviously I gave all 4 of these 5 stars. It was amazing. Some of the art clips too were amazing. Next up, I listened to the audiobook for Nick and Charlie by Alice Oseman, which is the kind of novella companion thingy that goes with Heartstopper. And I didn't like this one quite as much as Heartstopper, only because it was a little bit frustrating to read because these characters, who obviously love each other very much and go very well together, there was just a lack of communication. If they had just like talked to each other, then there would literally have been no conflict. There was just this issue that existed for no reason, and I was like, y'all are literally perfect for each other, like what are you doing? But that was kind of a very minor thing for me though. I still gave it 5 stars because I did really enjoy it, and I obviously love Nick and Charlie so much. The 2 characters are just adorable. Like I said, it was just slightly frustrating. I enjoyed seeing a little bit more of their story. The next thing that I read was Castle in the Air by Diana Wynne Jones. This is the 2nd book in the Howl's Moving Castle series. It's kind of more of a companion series though, because this follows a different character, but the characters from Howl's Moving Castle do appear in this book. It's kind of an Aladdin retelling, sort of, because it follows this boy, Abdullah, who sells carpets and stuff. And this person sells him a magic carpet one day, and then he uses it to visit this princess, and then she gets captured, and then he has to go around places on this magic carpet to try and save her. Again, it has an interesting writing style that I really like, but I don't know how I felt about this one, to be honest, because the plot just wasn't super interesting to me. There was just nothing really that captured my attention and just made me super invested and wanting to keep going. I was kind of mad about it. Like I said, there was just nothing that just really hooked me and just made me want to keep reading it, but it wasn't bad. So I gave it 3.25 stars. The next thing I read was Prey by Michael Crichton. This one definitely surprised me and I enjoyed it a lot more than I expected to. So I read this for my Try a Chapter video, which I will have linked in the description if you guys would like to check that out. But the first part of this book just hooked me right away because I was like, I really want to know what's going on. I kind of just follows this dude who's just vibing, and he was recently fired from his job because he found out some kind of scandalous stuff that was happening within the company. Then he finds out that his wife might be cheating on him, and there's also this stuff with the technology that they both work with, these particle thingies that seem to be coming alive, and there were so many hints and things. I almost just hit myself in the face with this. So many hints and things that were being dropped throughout the book that I was like, I know this is very important and it's so interesting, but I have no idea what it means. But I'm so invested and really want to know where this is going. It was very good, very page turning. I kept wanting to read more the whole time because I was like, I just really want to know what's happening and what all of this stuff means and how it all adds up and fits together into this giant puzzle. The only thing is I started listening to the audiobook when it got close to the end because it was inching towards the end of the month and I really needed to get this done in a reasonable time. So I tried listening to the audiobook for it towards the end, and I'm not good at listening to audiobooks, so my focus kind of veered off a little bit, and so I was a little bit confused what was happening towards the end, but that is not the fault of the book. It's just my fault for not being good at focusing on audiobooks. But there was definitely a part at the end where I kind of like recapped all of the things that had happened, which was super helpful because I knew exactly what each of the specific hints that had been dropped throughout the book meant and why they happened, if that makes sense. So that was very helpful, and I still understood the general what was going on at the end of this, so that was good. I gave it 4 stars. Next up, I read Percy Jackson and the Sea of Monsters, which I also gave 4 stars. This is the second Percy Jackson book. I really loved the writing of this. There were a lot of parts that made me chuckle. I thought that the plot of this was quite interesting, and I just really enjoy reading these. They're just a lot of fun seeing the main character go on all these adventures. Again, it just has a funny writing style, and I just enjoyed this quite a bit. So I am excited to continue on with the series. And the final thing that I read in May was Good Morning Gorillas by Mary Pope Osborne, which is the 26th book in the Magic Treehouse series. This was good. I always enjoy these books. They're just these cute little fun adventure stories where these kids go in their treehouse and go to whatever time period or whatever from the books, and it's so fun. They explore with these gorillas and they're just having fun with them. The only thing, it bothered me a little bit, was they were just playing with this baby gorilla, and then the mom gorilla was just fine with it. They made friends with all of the gorillas. I can see if they made friends with the adult gorillas first, but the fact that they were playing around with the baby gorilla, I feel like the mom would have been like really mad and been very aggressive with them because that's her child, and normally I feel like animals are very protective like that and would not just be like, oh yeah, play with my child, random creature who I have never experienced before and don't know what you are, you know? Aside from that, this was very cute and a very fun time. And the next thing, I didn't quite finish this in the month of May, but I'm still going to talk about it anyway, and that is The Sacrifice by Charlie Higson. I finished it just a couple days after the end of the month, and I was very, very close to finishing it, and so I ended up giving it to myself for my TBR game that I play. I will have it linked down below if you guys want to check that out. But normally what I do is I have to read all the books on my TBR except for one. The one that I didn't end up getting to was The Priory of the Orange Tree because I actually moved that back into June so that I could buddy read it with somebody. But I was still supposed to get all the way through this one, and I was super close. I got super close to the end, and I read quite a lot towards the end of the month when I was needing to actually get through all of the books. And so I'm still gonna give it to myself and not have to read a punishment book for June because I got super close, and I read most of this in May, and even though it's kind of slightly cheating, I moved The Priory of the Orange Tree anyway and wasn't planning on reading that, so I think that it counts. I'm gonna be nice to myself and say that it's okay. I do not have to read a punishment because my June TBR is already crazy anyway. I'm just not counting this towards the whatever-thon for June, so I think that that's fair, saying like not giving myself a punishment but also not counting it towards the readathon. It kind of balances it out, so it works. But I really, really enjoyed this. I enjoy this series so much, just following around these kids who are just trying to survive all of the adults who have become diseased and are trying to eat the children. It's so much fun. These kids can be so dumb sometimes, and I'm like, you're going to die, but it's so fun to read too. And just these kids interacting with each other, and there's this one who's literally named the the kid, and he is my favorite thing ever because the way that he talks is so funny. He makes me laugh every single time that he talks, and it's just amazing. The way that these characters care for each other and the bond that they have, I love it. And I'm starting to grow attached to some of them, which is not good because knowing these books, all of the ones that I really love are going to die, but you know, it's fine. I'm just super excited to continue with the series and see how these characters end up and if they can figure out a way to survive still, because it's just growing more and more intense as the books progress because the grown-ups are just getting more smart, I guess. I gave this one 4.25 stars. And the last thing that I would like to mention is that for my rainbow readathon that I always forget about, the color for May was teal/turquoise. So I was planning on reading a book that had teal/turquoise on the cover, and the bottom half of Castle in the Air is kind of tealy-ish. So I'm counting that for that prompt. That is all for this video. I hope that you guys enjoyed. If you did, then please hit the like button and subscribe if you would like to, and hit the notification bell if you would like to see the other videos that I post on Mondays. I am planning on changing that to Tuesdays pretty soon, just because the way that my schedule has kind of changed a little bit, that is going to work better for me. So stay tuned for that. I'm not sure how soon the Tuesday thing will happen, but we'll see. I will have my Bookstagram and Goodreads linked in the description if you guys would like to check out either of those. Comment down below your favorite book that you read in May. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!